Hello, everyone. My name is Fatou Manneh. I am a refugee currently in Arizona. I have lived in America for more than 10 years. Earlier in my life, I was a reporter in my country, Gambia, once called the smiling coast of Africa. In 1994, my peaceful country descended into a brutal dictatorship when Yahya Jammeh seized power through a military coup. For 20 long years, Gambia has been defined by fear and violence. Before Jammeh, tourists would come from all over Europe to enjoy our sun, our beaches, and the welcoming smiles from Gambian citizens. That Gambia is no more. Now, Jammeh uses brother against uncle, mother against aunt, soldier against neighbor, community against community. He arrests, jails, tortures, and kills those who stand in his way. Today in our cities, soldiers with machine guns guard checkpoints to instill fear where only police used to stand to help guide traffic. Gambian courts are filled daily by helpless families as the president brings lawsuits against them on bogus charges. Many journalists are accused of writing false information and sedition. Like many other exiled dissidents, I have had to risk my life to see my family. In 2007, I decided to go back to Gambia to attend my father's funeral. I knew my dad's passing and my possible incarceration would be more than my mother could bear. So before leaving for Gambia, I promised to visit her and my two sons in London after the funeral. But it was a year and a half before I was finally able to leave. When I arrived in the Gambia, I was greeted by some plainclothes Secret Service personnel at the airport. "You are Fatou Manneh?" they asked. "Yes," I answered. "Come with us," they said. My brother was there to pick me up. "Where are you taking her?" he asked. "We cannot tell you." Seeing my brother agitated, I begged him to go home. I really knew they had me, and I was ready for the showdown. I either die or leave. In my own country here, I was crammed into a white pickup truck and driving into the darkness. No one would have known that our car of plain-looking Gambian citizens was actually a team of people whose job it was to make my countrymen disappear. On and on we drove, and then I knew we were heading to the capital, Banjul, residence of the president. Suddenly, we made a swift turn down the road to a secret detention center. It was enclosed by tall, dusty walls and edged just along the Atlantic Ocean. I shivered as I realized that they could easily just throw me into the sea. The young Secret Service agents did as they were told, keeping me until 2 a.m. and ransacking my suitcases. The interrogation rooms were huge, dusty, and old. They left me in a room. I looked around and saw a broken couch and a window with torn mosquito nets. I heard many stories of people disappear by way of deadly intelligence officers, but this time it was happening to me. It was terrifying. The thought of my mom and my sons was unbearable. I prayed inwardly and asked God to give them the strength to move on should anything happen to me. I swore to myself that I would not shed a tear for this punk President Jammeh. When death comes, it comes. I could not sleep. Mosquitoes came buzzing in. To eat, I was given a half loaf of bread with boiled egg on a torn cement paper. I kept a pen hidden in my bra. I also had a small disposable camera tucked in the sleeves of my blouse. I could not sleep, so I told the guards that I wanted to use the bathroom. And then it happened. Coming out of a very filthy, scary bathroom, a guard came to me and touched me lightly on my chest. Oh, I stood there, I thought I was going to be raped. But then he called my name, Joe. Only someone who knows me in person or is from my neighborhood will call me that name, as it is the last name of the woman I am named after. I answered. He told me he was the night guard. "I knew you very well in the village," he said, "but you will not remember me. I went to the same primary school. I know your mom. She's like an aunt to me." I don't know if he's still in the country or not, so I cannot discuss what really transpired that first night. But this was a sign to me that God is with you, I thought. The fear of not seeing my sons again was toughest. But I discovered that we can surprise ourselves with what we are capable of under duress. I prayed for the best. I sensed it was going to be a very long journey if I was ever going to see my children again. When the morning sun came out the next day, I was happy that I was alive, not raped or shot. On the plane to the Gambia, I had met few people I knew, and they witnessed my arrest. So they have gone to the media. That morning, when I was summoned into an office, someone walked in with the Faraya newspaper, and I saw on the front page, "Where is Fatou Manneh?" There it was, a headline, "The Voice of the Voiceless." The interrogations soon began. I was always under surveillance. They deprived me of sleep and interrogated me several times per day. They kept telling me that my writings were destroying the country. They searched my articles on the internet and found the interview I had given to a newspaper that was firebombed after it took my story to print. Then they put me on trial and charged me with sedition and false information. I was told I was a threat to national security, that the articles I wrote about the government would drive investors away. False witnesses were lined up against me. The trial continued for almost 2 years. My case was so outrageous that Amnesty International, the Committee to Protect Journalists, and major press houses and human rights offices around the world came to my assistance to expose my ordeal. Foreign ambassadors kept an eye on me, and US Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice even sent out a letter on my behalf. Now I know I would not disappear that easily. The international community was watching. One day, finally, the verdict was read. I was convicted of sedition and writing false information against the government. I was fined $12,000 to be produced in 2 hours, or else I had to go to jail for 4 years with hard labor. I was shocked at the cruelty of it all for the crime of journalism. My lawyer pleaded that I had 2 sons, that I had yet to finish my master's program in the US, and should be pardoned as a first-time offender. The judge refused to hear it. Leaving the courtroom, I saw a police van parked outside. An officer approached with handcuffs. I prayed, and I told my lawyer I was not paying a dime. I did not have the money, and the sentence was unjust. What I didn't know was every family member and friend that was in that courthouse that day came with money. They scrambled to pay for the amount. Even the Gambia Press Union came up with $2,000. Finally, there was enough money. I was set free. My lawyer, that day, Lamin Jabate, who later became Justice Minister, is now serving 2 years in jail, sentenced for giving false information to the government. The next day, my friend's husband whisked me off to Senegal, where I stayed for 6 months to get my travel papers in order. Most Gambians, after they are set free, get quickly rearrested and taken back to jail with no trial. I was very fortunate. I flew to London to see my family. I'll never forget the relief I saw in my son's eyes meeting them. From there, I went back to the US with the help of the Human Rights Defense Fund. I was lucky. Not so lucky was journalist Deida Haidara, who we lost to a dictator's bullet. Chief Ibrahim Manneh disappeared since 2006. The publisher of my newspaper, then Observer, Liberian refugee, was bundled back and sent to warlords in Liberia. Finance Minister Koro Sise, young progressive guy, burned down to ashes in his car. Some foreign people, Ghanaians, 43 of them, came via my country trying to get to the back way to Europe. The government thought they were mercenaries. They hacked all of them, buried them at the outskirts. And worst of all this dictator's crimes, he has arrested almost 1,000 old people from my country, between the ages of 60 to 89. They have no interest in politics. They've done their best. They're in the villages. They don't have a clue. He said they are witches. He made sure they drank concoctions, and it was fatal. The humiliation was fatal. Most of them died out of that. In 2009, he executed 9 prison inmates without due process, just lined them up, pam, 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 pam. In December 2004, the Jammeh government passed 2 new media laws. One imposed prison terms for sedition and defamation. The other made it a requirement for newspaper owners to buy expensive operating licenses, registering their homes as collateral. Actually, now the Adjusted Information and Communication Act was passed by the National Assembly. It allows a fine for 3 million, about 100,000, or imprisonment for 15 years, or both, fine and imprisonment, to anyone convicted of using the internet to spread false news about the government or public officials. Data, a champion of the press, announced his intent to challenge these laws. 2 days later, he was assassinated. Today, there are hundreds of Gambians who have fled, killed, or disappeared. The list is long for a country less than 2 million people. Defeating dictators is an arduous task. They have entire countries and billions of dollars at their disposal. They control the military and unleash it on civilians. Killings are like sport to them. Dictators are like natural disasters to all citizens. Gambia and its citizens suffer more from our president, Yahya Jammeh, than we ever will suffer from the flood, fire, famine, drought, or disease. So how do we defeat tyranny? First, by looking dictators squarely in the face and exposing them. They are all bullies and cowards at heart. They fear the truth. They fear the fearless. That is why I thank all the participants here. We all share the same story. Many of us here were persecuted for telling the truth. We all have faith and maintain courage, or we would not be here. Many others could not make it in this world. They have disappeared or have been killed. We are the lucky ones, and now we must be their voice. We are here to speak the unspeakable so the world will listen. Any of you here, all of you here are superheroes. You have a good heart, you're kind people, you're doing the best for your communities. Everyone in this room has something to offer this world. Call me anywhere, from China to New Zealand, you'll have my support, but I also need your support and attention to this very beautiful country who's destroyed, the country destroyed by a brutal dictator. My deepest thanks to the Human Rights Foundation. The journey continues. And inshallah, may good prevail. Thank you all very much.